I start them in this corner. And then
Alex McGuckin is a professional specialized bookbinder, restoring antiquarian hardcovers over 100 years old. He's commissioned by private collectors and institutions. He got a taste for this as an history student at Cambridge, England.
I tried to use the same techniques, materials that were used throughout the century. So I need to know how a book was bound and the materials that were used, say, in 1615 England. So this is the bindery, and this is where I do all my work. And so I try to have as many original pieces as possible. So, you know, these presses here are 19th century cast iron presses. Most commercial binderies nowadays don't use any of the same materials, any of the same techniques or tools. Any of the tools that I use, I either have to make myself or I try and source and find, you know, on even things like eBay, I'll sort of be searching just to see if something turns up. A lot of the books that come to me, the boards have come apart, so I will reattach the boards, and if I can, I'll try and save the original spine. And so I have to match a piece of leather, the same type of leather, that I can then fit over the original spine. And if it's in a good situation where I can actually reuse the spine, I will use the respine on top of it.
So despite being well trained, Alex uses his personal extensive antiquarian collection as a period guideline when restoring covers and spines.
Well, the earliest one that I have is 1518.
So these are all leathers?
Right, they're all leather, but they're all treated differently.
Well, this is a handwritten book going back some hundreds of years.
It is, yeah. This would be sort of described as manuscript, and so this is an old Quran. All books were sewn, and different types of sewing were used during different periods. And so what I'm doing is recessed sewing, and then I sew along the cords here, which gives it the strength that it needs. And this is how these cords are laced into the actual boards themselves, so that when you open the book, really at this stage, it is a functioning book, right? And it's super strong.
True to tradition of old-school binding, he uses a self-made sewing frame. Alex believes France generally mastered this lost art form, one he tries to emulate.
To be able to do what I do effectively, I have to have really the same materials that were used to bind books 300-400 years ago. And so all these papers were handmade by marblers in England and in Italy, and all correspond to all sorts of different periods of time. And these are brass tools that have been engraved with different sorts of designs that you then impress into the leather through a gold leaf.
Bookbinding, as conducted in the pre-industrial age. A one-time student of Mexican history, Alex McGuckin practices this rare form at the highest level. For Go Edmonton, I'm Tim Dancy.